Hello and welcome to the October 12th, 2025 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick, brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, we are paying for this project of ours. We're live every Sunday, and I thank you all so much for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News YouTube page. This is a program dedicated to bringing good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back to the world. Several of our articles are pulled from sites like goodnewsnetwork.org and goodgoodgood.co, but we appreciate everything sent in by you, the Nick's Newsies. Hello, Charlie. Hello, Yave An. Hello, Dirty Rogue. It's good to see everybody. If my voice is trash, it's because I was out LARPing this weekend, and I did a lot of shouting. More on that later. Let's get into the news brew, because this is going to be a good one. The last time a beer of this class hit my lips, I wasn't very impressed. That's because it was a dreaded pumpkin beer, but I was hoping that the prestige of the brewery that it came from could outdo the taste of the pumpkin. Not the case! Terrible. Absolutely the worst. Hopefully, Cheesecake Marty. Look at that sophisticated glass. Hopefully, Cheesecake Marty from Prairie Artisan Ales will wipe away the failures of the past. This is a 14.9% ABV, high-octane bourbon barrel-aged Imperial Stout that is brewed with espresso beans, vanilla, cheesecake flavors, and natural flavors. I don't know what the natural flavors are supposed to be, but I guess we'll find out. Fingers are crossed that this Marty is one to remember for a good reason. Hey, Nate! Thanks for the hair. Thank you. Yes, I do have a pretty nice haircut and a facial cut, because I was playing a character that has no facial hair, so. Hey, Becky. So, because we have a bottle, we get to use the Bellasong bottle opener. Yes. Babyface, says Charlie. It's not quite babyface. I didn't shave, so I've got it coming back. I'll have a nice shadow tomorrow. Because it is an Imperial Stout, we are going to use our very nice limited edition Harpoon Snifter. And we'll get into the theatrics of a 5-minute pour. Now, this is Prairie Artisan Ales. I'm expecting this to look like motor oil. Oh, it doesn't disappoint. Oh, the darkness. Darkness is. Look at that. Oh, that is thick. Oh, every last drop of that. Gosh, it's like cleaning the oil in my car. The black hole of beer, says Becky. Dirty Rogue says, darkness. Hey, Tim. Wow. That is a dark beer. So dark that the head is dark on that. Thick with 4 C's, Dirty Rogue. Producer Donna says, hello, darkness, my old friend. That's all I'll do so we don't get copyright struck again. We haven't been copyright struck yet, so hopefully we never will. Let's get into our shout-outs. It is snuggle weather. Hoodies and sweaters, chilly nights, and all the glorious colors of fall sprinkled into the trees. It's a wonderful time to head out to Fox Hen Winery, located between Grand Haven and Allendale, for relaxing autumn adventures. Fox and Hen, like I said, located between Grand Haven and Allendale. Find it on your Google map. It's buried out there, but it is a fantastic location. They specialize in small batch fine wine and ciders that reflect the Lake Michigan climate. You can check them out Fridays and Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern to Fox and Hen Winery. Cheers. 'Tis the season. Oh my God. Holy crap! Hi, Nico. This is like the dinner chewing gum, or the 3-course meal chewing gum from Willy Wonka. This just hit me in layers. Prairie Artisan Ales. This is a good Marty. In fact, I'm going to take another sip. Oh, yes. We would like to wish a happy Thanksgiving to all of our friends and family in Canada who will be celebrating their Thanksgiving on this upcoming Monday, which would be the 13th. So, to everybody in Canada celebrating their Thanksgiving tomorrow, Monday the 13th, cheers. Nate asks, how many layers were good? All of them. It's like super espresso up front, and then there's a layer of like chocolate, and then it's like really super smooth vanilla cheesecake on the end. That's wild. That beer comes in waves. Oh man. And it's 14.9%. That's going to definitely soothe my aching throat. Fat Bear Week is a single elimination tournament where the public votes online for the fattest, most successful bear in the Katmai National Park in Alaska. The bear with the most votes advances, and one winner is crowned Fat Bear Week champion. We'd like to give a shout out to the 2025 Fat Bear Week to the 2025 Fat Bear Week winner, Chunk. Chunk is a prime example of what it means to be resilient. Facing a broken jaw throughout the summer, nobody knew what the season would look like for him. But there is no denying that he defied all expectations. Chunk got fat. And as we know, a fat bear is ready to survive the winter. It's what we celebrate with Fat Bear Week, and today we celebrate Chunk. Congratulations, Chunk, on your victory. Hi, Athena. Yes, Yave Ann in the chat goes, it's so fun to watch. Best name for the fattest bear. The fact that his name is Chunk. I think we posted a picture of him, too. Producer Donna's going to have to confirm that for me. Tim just said this is a meal in a glass. It is. It's so thick. I'm chewing this beer. All right. Following up on what I mentioned earlier, Haven LARP hosted its final event of this season this weekend, and it was absolutely fantastic. I just want to say great job to all of the players and staff. Another memorable year in the woods is now in the books with all of you. Thank you all so much, and I am looking forward to next season. So to Haven LARP, cheers. Becky says the brown bear. I think you guys did. Thank you, Becky. Nico says, everyone was so great at Haven, Dirty Rogue, it was a lot of fun. Yes, it was a blast. And to close out the LARP season, this upcoming weekend, I will be attending the final event of the season for Waypoint LARP. Once more into the abyss, my friends. Cheers. Nate says, oh man, it makes me very happy this is still going. Haven is amazing. I agree, my friend. Yathena said, Ed had so much fun. I had a blast role-playing with Ed, with Dirty Rogue, with Nico, with everybody. All the Knicks newsies that LARP and showed up at Haven. I had a phenomenal time with all of y'all. Thank you so much. Becky asked, yeah, are you going to go to Waypoint? Yes, I will be at this Waypoint. I am so looking forward to playing my new character at this Waypoint event. So, Yathena says, I wish I could go, but gotta be smart about my body. Yathena, I did hear about your plight. I am hoping the best for you. And no worries. Waypoint will be there for when you can return. So, no worries. Donna says, as long as he doesn't get sick this week. If I got sick again, I would, powerbomb vitamin C tablets and NyQuil if I had to destroy whatever was in me to be able to go to this last event. Oh. All right. Double down on emergency. I will. News quote. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive. and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. That quote comes from Marguerite Annie Johnson, also known as Maya Angelou, who lived from 1928 to 2014, and she was an American memoirist, a poet, and a civil rights activist. And I really love that quote, and I really want to think about that one. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive. We should all be working, our best to not be just making it. We want to win. We have the drive and we have the capacity to. So my mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. Live your life in your own funky way, and thank you very much for that quote, Maya Angelou. Cheers. Bug update. The bugs did just fine while I was away, and I wasn't able to bother them. Elmira's excavations are absolutely insane. She's actually out right now, looking at me. It's so wild that she comes out right when I start talking. I don't know if it's because she hears me, or just because it's that time of night, but who knows. Her excavations are bonkers. She's got a couple new tunnels down to her burrow, so it's really cool. Ripley is still a little plump, but I'm gonna have to feed her soon, and she really is like an H.R. Geiger fangirl cosplaying as a facehugger. It's horrifying. The roaches I really need to get a picture of because they're like a funky bunch, and they look really cool, and it's kind of cute when they're all cuddled together. And lastly, there are signs that Sue just came out of his hide and was walking around while I was gone. There's some marks on the glass, like he might have been doing his tail ups again, like we saw during that one episode. And I'm kind of upset considering, how active he used to be for us here on the camera. And we just haven't seen him. So just keep an eye on him, keep a watch out for his royal angriness. And we'll see if the boy named Sue comes out while we've got an episode going. Producer Donna says, Chunk has been posted on the Facebook page. Fantastic. Yathena says, Becky, run fast. Nate says, the events were always fun, but it's the people I miss the most. You will not find a more welcoming community. That is exactly right, my brother. Julie is here. Hello, Julie. I'm here, but I'm also watching football. Yes, I know 'tis the season for us to fight football. So, can you imagine if we ever get to the point where Nick's News legitimately fights football numbers? Wouldn't that be crazy? All right, let's get into our good news. Our broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice articles that we like to end on. And we have 9 articles to go through tonight. So we're going to start off in category 1, science and technology. And we called this first article, Taking It From Both Directions. Producer Donna was not happy with me on that one, but hey, that's what happened. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Oh, hi, Happy. Happy says, it's news time. Julie says the Lions are on, so I'm allowed to be distracted. I agree, I am a Lions fan, so I am hoping the Lions do well tonight. All right. Solar-powered artificial plant purifies radioactive soil by 95% in 20 days. This was published to Interesting Engineering on September 24th of 2025 by Aman Tripathi. A research team has successfully developed and tested a solar-powered artificial plant that can rapidly purify soil contaminated with radioactive cesium. The innovative device, which mimics a plant's natural transpiration process, reduced cesium concentration in soil by over 90% or 95% in just 20 days. This offers a groundbreaking solution for cleaning up nuclear accident sites and contaminated agricultural land. This study holds significance as it demonstrates the possibility of purifying contaminated soil based on solar energy by mimicking natural plants and simply installing the device without any other equipment, said Seongkyun Kim, who led the research from the Daegu Jeonbak Institute of Science and Technology, or the DGIST. Radioactive cesium, particularly the isotope cesium-137, presents a long-term environmental and health challenge due to its half-life of about 30 years. It is highly soluble in water, which allows it to spread easily through ecosystems and be taken up by plants and animals. Once it enters the body, it can build up in muscles and bones and cause cancer or organ damage, explained the researchers in a press release. Events like the 2011 Fukushima nuclear accident in Japan led to widespread cesium contamination, prompting concerns over the safety of agricultural products and seafood. While contaminated water can be purified with an absorbent, it is a global challenge to purify soil, as there is no alternative to scooping up and purifying the soil, added the press release. Until now, cleaning contaminated soil has been a significant hurdle. The primary method involved physically scooping up the soil for treatment, an invasive and costly process. While using natural plants to absorb contaminants has been explored, it's a slow process, heavily dependent on the weather, and the contaminated plants themselves become radioactive waste. While radioactive cesium contamination causes a much more serious problem in soil than in water, there has been no proper method to purify it so far, said Professor Kim. The device, developed by Professor Kim's team, addresses these limitations. It is designed to be installed directly into the contaminated ground. Powered by sunlight, it draws up contaminated water from the soil through a stem-like structure. This water then passes into the leaves of the device, where a specific absorbent material captures the radioactive cesium ions. Pure water evaporates, and the evaporated water returns to the soil through the recovery system. Therefore, it is not necessary to replenish the water, highlighted the press release. The device is also reusable. Once the leaves are saturated with cesium, they can be easily replaced. Furthermore, an acidic substance can be used to wash the used leaves to take the cesium out, and the absorbent can be recycled multiple times, which reduces costs and the environmental burden, added the researchers. Experiments showed the technology is highly effective, drastically speeding up the process that would typically take months. Because the device is powered entirely by the sun and doesn't require electricity or an external water source, it is ideal for on-site application at remote accident sites or farmland. That is really cool. A plant-like construct that absorbs radioactive cesium from the soil and is powered by the sun and collects its own water. To everybody at the Daegu Jeonbak Institute of Science and Technology for cooking this crazy little plant up, cheers! Becky is asking if I froze for a brief second for anybody. I did not notice. Usually when I freeze, I notice if I have like an issue, then I run OSB Studio. Usually OSB would tell me if something happened. Doesn't look like it though. Thank you, Tim, for saying no. And producer Donna said not for me either. So interesting. I heard a click from a bug. All right. Second article of the night in Science and Technology. Who knew the Swiss would make Archimedes' death ray? I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. World's first solar furnaces unveiled to recycle luxury Swiss watch scrap metal, or scrap steel. This was published to Interesting Engineering on October 6th of 2025 by Georgina Jedokovska. Tim asks, how do you submit stories to you? The easiest ways to submit stories to us is to either message the Nix News Facebook page, message us on the Nix News Instagram, or email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. All the links are in the description of this video. So those are like the three best ways to get a hold of us. Message us on our Facebook page, message us on our Instagram, or email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. You're welcome, Tim. A Swiss company has recently launched the world's first 2 solar furnaces that will reportedly melt down and recycle the crucial industry's steel offcuts by using green energy. Jura-based Panettiere, a pioneer in the transformation, recycled, and recyclable raw materials, that should be transformation of recycled and recyclable raw materials, inaugurated the groundbreaking installations in La Chaux-de-Fonds, the historic cradle of Swiss watchmaking industry, on October 3rd. The 2 pilot systems are designed to recycle high-quality steel waste from local watchmakers and medical manufacturers. Both industries are known for their precision, engineering, and intensive use of stainless steel. The project is supported by Haute École Arc Ingénierie and the University of Franche-Comté under the Interreg France-Switzerland program. That was a mouthful. I've been dreaming of this moment for 10 years, Raphael Broy, Panettiere's CEO, revealed. The revolutionary concept uses solar rays to reach temperatures as high as 2,642 degrees Fahrenheit, or 1,450 degrees Celsius, to melt stainless steel without burning any fossil fuels. According to the firm, the larger prototype includes a 1,485 square foot or 138 square meter heliostat made of 40 movable mirrors that track the sun and reflect its rays towards a 32 foot wide or 10 meter concave dish concentrator. Meanwhile, the smaller system features a 323 square foot or 30 square meter heliostat, as well as a compact 129 square foot or 12 square meter concentrator, which consists of about 460 mirrors. Where did I miss in engineering? Where? Are you talking about that French word ingénierie? Hon. There. The light is directed onto a crucible inside a solar reactor and melts metal scraps that are then cast into new ingots. Both furnaces rely on the same 2-step process that captures sunlight and amplifies its intensity 1,000 times, or thousands of times. This second design, which we plan to prioritize for future use, can concentrate light up to 5,500 times the intensity of the sun, generating temperatures as high as 3,632 degrees Fahrenheit or 2,000 degrees Celsius in the crucible. Loic Bonsack, Innovation and Industrialization Project Manager at Panettiere, stated. Dirty Rogue says, International Nick. The figures were verified by simulations from researchers at the Université de Franche-Comté and the Haute École Arc Ingénierie, HAARC, who collaborated with Panettiere under the Interreg France-Switzerland RASOL program. The company will continue working with local companies to test and refine the technology over the next few years. It plans to open a full-scale factory by 2028, either at the current site or in the Wallace Mountains of southwestern Switzerland. Once in operation, the company aims to produce up to 1,000 tons of recycled steel per year using solar energy alone. That's it. No fossil fuels, no other sources, just solar power. Officials believe that the innovation can significantly reduce carbon emissions while also promote circularity in the high-end manufacturing sector. Our role also includes analyzing the recycled steel alloys to ensure their quality, Raymond Constantin, a specialist in materials characterization, said in a press release. Producing 2.2 pounds or 1 kilogram of conventional recycled steel emits around 15 pounds or 6.8 kilograms of CO2. Panettiere estimates that the new technology could cut emissions to under 0.1 pounds, or just 41 grams, per unit of steel produced, and reduce the carbon footprint by more than 165 times compared to conventional methods. That is so cool. Nowadays, there is a real economic model to develop, Broy concluded, adding that this restores the prestige of short supply chains. With the price levels and the scarcity of metals, we are able to find a position to make these projects profitable, even with Swiss wages. To everybody involved in the production of solar-powered systems to melt down scrap steel, and everybody involved at Jura-based Panettiere. Cheers. Oh, shout out to brand new Nick's Newsies, Steve. Steve, welcome aboard. Thank you for joining us here at Nick's News. Alexander the Great says, love you guys. Love you too. All right, that is going to get us out of science and technology. We're going to move on to category 2, health and medicine. This article was sent in by Kendra. Thank you so much, Kendra. We entitled it, COVID. Fuck COVID. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Athena says, that's me! Doctors tested a common drug on COVID. The results are stunning. This was published to Science Daily on September 28th of 2025 by King's College London. A widely available and affordable drug has been shown to be effective in treating seriously ill COVID-19 patients, according to a new international study led by researchers at the Australian National University, or the ANU, in collaboration with King's College London. Ooh, gonna pause because that is a great question for me because I worked in a foundry. Alexander the Great asked, with that temperature, could the metals be cast like in a foundry? It can be, but probably not for a finished product. What they're doing is they're getting this crucible up to that temperature, and I just closed the article, so I'd have to look back at what the temperature was. Actually, let me just click it. Let me just walk it back. Oh. Hold up. Wait a minute. I don't want to press that button. Stream still going? Yes, stream's still going. Okay, let me look at the temperature again. Yeah, you can. So they're getting this... They're getting the crucible up to 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit, which, yes, you can cast stainless steel. You can cast steel at that temperature. But what they're doing is, instead of casting it into an actual final product, they're casting it back into an ingot. So that ingot is then going to go through processing to produce a final product. Back when I was working at the foundry I was at, we were getting ductile iron up to 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit. We were melting up at around 27 to 29, I think, and we were pouring at like 2,600 degrees. For making ingots, though, that should be a great temperature for it for steel. That is really cool, and great question. All right. Back to Kendra's article. The study analyzed data from almost 500 patients hospitalized with COVID-19 across 6 countries. Patients who inhaled heparin were half as likely to require ventilation and had a significantly lower risk of dying compared to those receiving standard care. Heparin, a drug traditionally injected to treat blood clots, was tested in the study in an inhaled form, targeting the lungs directly. As well as acting as an anticoagulant, heparin has anti-inflammatory and pan-antiviral properties. Earlier research results showed breathing and oxygen levels improved in COVID-19 patients after they inhaled a course of heparin. The researchers believe the drug could also be useful in fighting other serious respiratory infections, such as pneumonia. Isn't it heparin? Asks Yathena. So it's Heparin? Which would make me think it's heparin? I don't think I've ever heard this drug mentioned, so if it's heparin, I'll call it heparin from here on out. Professor Clive Page, Emeritus Professor of Pharmacology at King's, who co-led the international study with ANU's Professor Van Haren, said inhaled heparin is antiviral, anti-inflammatory, and anticoagulant. There's no other drug that has that unique combination. We know it's only a matter of time until the next pandemic, and there are still COVID-19 patients who get very sick. This is a great weapon to have up our sleeve. Producer Donna says I've always heard it as hep, so it's heparin. While the findings highlight the potential of inhaled heparin, further development is required before the treatment can be routinely adopted. The researchers believe the drug could also be used in fighting other serious respiratory infections, such as pneumonia, which can be caused by a range of viruses and bacteria. According to Professor Van Haren, the drug would also be helpful for those with a compromised immune system, such as cancer patients when they experience a respiratory infection. Yathena says heparin. Heparin is correct. Charlie says hip hop. Anonymous. Professor Frank Van Haren, lead author, ANU, and director of the intensive care unit at the St. George Hospital in Sydney, said, "It doesn't matter what kind of respiratory infection the patient is dealing with. The drug, when inhaled, will stop it from infecting the patient and from damaging the lungs. We're aiming to conduct another trial in Europe to confirm its effectiveness in fighting other common respiratory infections, such as influenza and RSV. And because it's inexpensive, it's much more accessible for those from low-income countries." The researchers are now also developing an improved formulation for heparin, specifically designed to be given by inhalation. The research is published in eClinical Medicine and simultaneously presented at the European Respiratory Society, the ERS, International Congress in Amsterdam on Sunday, September 28th, the leading annual gathering for respiratory research. That is really cool to everybody. In this joint study between the Australian National University and the King's College London for finding that heparin can serve as a fantastic weapon against COVID-19, and for Kendra for sending in that article. Cheers. Oh my God. That is just such a good beer. Oh my Lord, it's such a good beer. All right, that's going to get us out of health and medicine. We're going to move on to category 3, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. This first article was sent in by 2 different Nick Snoozies, Holly and Eliza, so thank you both very much for sending this in. We are titling it, I'm Making a Note Here, Huge Success. I will copy and paste this to the chat if y'all want to read along. Yavian says, I get frequent respiratory issues. I'll have to note that for later, maybe they'll let me try it next time. That would be awesome. Utah State study shows Summit County Wildlife Crossing success. This was published to KPCW, it's like their version of NPR, on September 17th by Sydney Weaver. A recently published graduate study found that from April of 2020 to July of 2022, moose were the most successful bridge crossers. That's right, a Utah State University study shows the Parleys Wildlife Overpass, which was built back in 2018 to guide animals over the interstate, or Interstate 80, is working. Mule deer also frequented the overpass, with nearly 2,000 crossings on the animal-only bridge during the 2-year study. However, the study found elk only crossed the bridge 3 times. The study shows an estimated $15 million was saved since the overpass was completed near Summit Park, with a 77% reduction in wildlife vehicle collisions. That is a huge reduction in accidents involving animals and vehicles. That is awesome! Wildlife camera video, which you can tune into, shows animals ranging from porcupines to chipmunks, along with mountain lions and foxes, using the animal-only crossing. The Utah Department of Transportation installed the first wildlife bridge in the nation on I-15 near Beaver, according to the state's Wildlife Migration Initiative. Since then, more than 50 wildlife crossings have gone up across Utah. UDOT says about 57,000 vehicles pass through Parlay's Canyon daily on I-80. That's expected to reach 64,000 per day by 2040. That is awesome to see a $15 million savings and a 77% reduction in wildlife vehicle collisions thanks to a single bridge. That is awesome. To everybody involved in Utah with the construction of the Summit County Wildlife Crossing, and to Holly and Eliza for sending in that article, cheers. Becky says, don't hate me, but I can't stay up anymore. I am calling it a night. I'm sorry. Good night, everyone. Good night, Becky, and thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Athena says, it's hard to overstate my satisfaction. From Ed. If you're a Portal fan, I'm a fan of the game Portal. The songs are out of this world. All right. Let's get into our next article, an obligatory cat article. That's right, we have cats. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Finding Francine, how Lowe's brought a beloved cat home to Richmond. This was actually published to the corporate Lowe's website on October 6th of 2025 by Max Henson. Several weeks of desperate searching, thermal drones, professional trackers, video surveillance. The teams at Lowe's West Broad Street store in Richmond, Virginia, Lowe's Regional Distribution Center in Garysburg, North Carolina, and leaders across Lowe's corporate office did everything they possibly could to locate their missing cat, Francine, in partnership with the Richmond community. And on Monday, October 6th, when she jumped into the waiting arms of associate Wayne Schreider, that initial reunion said it all. She looked at us, Schneider said, and gave this big meow like, what took you so long? Oh, Francine. Let's just say the story only adds to her growing legend as the unofficial mascot of her city and star of the Lowe's store that she calls home. It all began when Francine, a stray cat who began living at the Lowe's in Richmond 8 years ago, went missing in the middle of September. In the process of trying to locate her, it became clear she hopped onto a truck that was headed to the Lowe's distribution center in Garysburg, roughly 85 miles south of her home in Richmond. Northampton County Animal Control set humane traps at the distribution center, and signs and flyers with Francine's picture were posted throughout every corner of the facility. Everyone was on high alert. From the start, we knew we'd do whatever it took to bring Francine home, said store manager Mike Sita. She's part of who we are. Francine has been described as a beacon of the community, and customers often visit the West Broad Street store to simply pay her a visit. So this search quickly grew into a community-wide effort. In addition to the 246 cameras already monitoring the distribution center, Lowe's brought in thermal drones to scan the area. Lowe's asset protection team monitored every lead, while operations continued safely and smoothly. Days passed, and reports of possible sightings trickled in, but nothing could be confirmed. The community took notice, and Lowe's reached out to the experts to support its efforts. Then, on the evening of October 4th, a familiar face appeared on camera near the distribution center. It was Francine. "I can't describe the feeling when we realized it was her," said Sita, Lowe's store manager. "We all just lit up." Sita and Schneider immediately gathered a small team and traveled to the distribution center. They brought along Francine's favorite food and her dish, knowing the familiar rattle might draw her out. Meanwhile, additional cameras and 7 additional humane traps were installed, with Lowe's maintenance associate Robert Keeter volunteering to check each trap throughout the night. A little before midnight, their feline friend emerged. Francine was outside one of the traps, but didn't go in. Moments later, a trap triggered. Francine was safe and sound, meowing to let everyone know that she was ready to put an end to this adventure and go home to Richmond. "When I received the text that we got her and she was safe, I just couldn't stop smiling," said Schneider. At 4 a.m. on Monday, Schneider and Sita got in their car and made the 90-minute drive to Gettysburg to pick up Francine. We were so excited the whole ride, it didn't matter how early it was. We were going to bring her home," Schneider said. For the store team at West Broad Street and the passionate community members who pitched in, that was always going to be the outcome. And in the end, it's more than a feel-good moment. It's an example of what community and love looks like in action. Francine is now back to her routine, greeting customers, exploring the aisles, and soaking up more affection than ever, with a new air tag, of course. We care for Francine so much, and we're so thankful for everyone who helped, from our associates to animal control and our neighbors, Sita said. "She's more than our store cat. She's part of our family." Lowe's would like to express sincere thanks to the following community partners who helped find Francine: the Northampton County Animal Shelter, Thermal Bird, Carmen Brothers Professional Pet Trappers, Richmond SPCA, Richmond Animal Care and Control, the RACC, SOS Cats RVA, and Best Friends. To everybody involved in getting Francine a Lowe's cat home to her store. And to Francine herself for going on an adventure. Cheers. Yavean says, "I'm not crying, you're crying." That definitely could have been an "I'm not crying, you're crying" article. Of course, we can't have an obligatory cat article without following it up with a heckin' good boy. I will copy and paste this heckin' good boy into the chat if y'all want to read along. Stray dog saved from death row turns into brilliant detective sniffing out lost animals. This was published to goodnewsnetwork.org on October 4th of 2025. And it's not listed who published it. A stray dog that was saved from being euthanized has become an expert pet detective, displaying an uncanny knack for sniffing out lost animals. Rico was just days away from being put down when kind-hearted Rachel Rogers, who runs a dog training school, paid almost $200 to rescue him from a Portuguese dog pound. "I saw this picture online of this really cute black and tan dog in Portugal, and they said he had 2 days left to live," the Englishwoman told SWNS news agency. "I paid the fee to get him out of the pound, but they hadn't found him a home, so I ended up paying and bringing him over." She took him home and was amazed to discover the incredible sniffing and tracking skills of this small domestic Coconi. He was really good at it. It was like hide and seek where they sniff you out. Within months, Rico's nose was being used to track down lost pets and animals which had escaped from their enclosures, including a runaway capybara. Rico would be given a blanket or a chew toy to smell, which he would then use to locate the area where the animals had been most recently. In some cases, the 10-year-old pup was even given an animal's poop to learn its smell in order to pick up a trail. Rico is now a pro at locating lost animals, and over the years, he's taken part in more than 20 pet rescues. 36-year-old Rachel from Whitchurch, Shropshire in England is preparing to mark 10 years since she gave Rico a second chance of life in December of 2015. Rico's first rescue happened while Rachel was doing a course about water voles in Wales. There was a family in the car park crying because they'd lost their dog and he was missing. My friend suggested Rico try and help them, so we let him sniff the boot of the car to get the lost dog's scent. We searched for about 3 hours, and he kept going to the same location with a 7-foot-high fence, and the dog came out hours later from the exact spot Rico had identified. Rachel, the co-founder and instructor at the Canine School of Trailings, said there was no feeling like it after Rico tracked down a missing dog. I've never been so proud. Now the twosome is even training other dog trainers across the world so that they can teach pet owners. One of the strangest rescues Rico took part in was when a capybara called Cinnamon escaped from a zoo last year. We got a tortoise request the other week, but the capybara was the weirdest. I was in London when Cinnamon went missing, and she had been missing a few days before we went out. Obviously makes it harder without a fresh trail of scent to follow. They didn't have any scent article, which Rico could use to track the animal, so the zoo brought in capybara fecal droppings from Cinnamon's family. I was worried he would go to the zoo, to their enclosure, but he followed a trail quite well. He led the search team through a field with a horse and kept going to a ditch and found more scat there, which one of the keepers believed was from a capybara. He was searching for 3 hours in that same area, and the zookeepers put a trap down, and she was caught a day or so later. Rachel says she hopes her 7-month-old border terrier Pebbles will carry on Rico's amazing work and keep searching for lost pets after he retires in the next year or so. Yave Ann says it would be pretty cappy if the poor baby wasn't found, but luckily this guy was. To Rico, the incredible sniffing dog, and to Rachel Rogers, who rescued him. Cheers. All right, that's going to get us out of flora and fauna. We're going to move on to category 4. The wholesome notes, and we have 3 wholesome notes tonight. This first one we called Life Flight for Fur Babies. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. I didn't know if that many cats would fit. Victoria volunteer pilot takes flight for Canadian Wings of Rescue. This was published to Czech News on October 5th of 2025 by Tess Van Straten. Canadian Wings of Rescue volunteer Jonathan Monahan's been flying planes since he was a kid. I think it was 12 years old, actually, and it was a birthday present, so that's how I got my first taste, says Wings of Rescue volunteer pilot Jonathan Monahan. And he was hooked. Jonathan's love of flying took off during more lessons and several years in Air Cadets. I definitely like adventure, he says from his cockpit. I definitely like the freedom as well. The chartered professional accountants had his private pilot's license and a share in this plane for more than a decade now, and this past summer, Jonathan added a new flying experience to his sky-high adventures. There was a request to pick up 15 cats in Fort St. John and bring them to Victoria, Jonathan explains. Shelter space was full in northern British Columbia, and Canadian Wings of Rescue, a completely volunteer-run charity dedicated to saving animals, was asked to help. But there was just one problem. I didn't know if that many cats would fit, Jonathan explains. I know how many people it holds, how many pounds it holds, but I wasn't sure how many cats it carries. It turns out Jonathan's small plane could fit 19 rescue kittens, making it one of the largest feline missions in the organization's history. It turned out to be a little bit of an adventure, Jonathan says. There were some thunderstorms after I came over the Rockies, so we needed to land in Quesnel to wait for those thunderstorms to pass. Despite the turbulence, the cats and kittens turned out to be perfect passengers. They didn't seem like they minded at all, Jonathan says with a laugh. Actually, I could even hear them purring sometimes over the hum of the engine, which kind of surprised me. Jonathan's next volunteer mission was to take golden retriever Rosie from a rescue in Chilliwack that was at capacity to a foster home in Prince George. My girlfriend came along. Rosie sat in the back and fed her some treats while we were flying, he explains. For Jonathan, who used to rescue stray cats in rural Nova Scotia and find homes for them when he was a child, volunteering for Canadian Wings of Rescue has helped him combine two of his passions, flying and giving back. It's really rewarding, and yeah, it's definitely cool to have some interesting passengers as well, Jonathan says. If you're a private or commercial pilot interested in volunteering for Canadian Wings of Rescue, there is a link in the article. To Jonathan Monahan, who flew 19 kittens and cats quite a distance to help find them forever homes. And to Canadian Wings of Rescue. Cheers. If you have tissues on hand, I recommend you grab them at this time. We called this article Wickedly Awesome, but while I'm going through it, it definitely could be another I'm not crying, you're crying. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Nine-year-old with stage 4 cancer given early screening of Wicked for good, checking off her bucket list. This was published to goodgoodgood.co on September 30th of 2025 by Cameron Baker. Brielle Bird is a 9-year-old Wicked superfan. She also has stage 4 cancer. On social media, she and her family have documented her cancer journey with candor and conviction. She's been fighting stage 4 cancer for 5 years. She's currently on hospice, Bird's mom wrote on a recent reel posted to Instagram. We thought her earthly mission was over on October 16th, but here we are, still checking things off her bucket list. About a month ago, Wicked star Ariana Grande sent Bird a care package, complete with movie-related merch, nail polish and makeup, and some comfort items, like plush toys. Thank you so much, Ariana Grande, the overjoyed 9-year-old said to her camera. Grande replied, I've seen your videos, and I think you are the most amazing, most inspiring little light beam in this universe. You're just so incredible, so thank you for being you. I'm sending you so much love and many virtual hugs. I hope this makes you smile, and I'll speak to you soon. Love you. She wasn't lying. As the release of Wicked for Good, the franchise's grand conclusion, nears, Bird's mom expressed how much it would mean for her daughter to see the film, unsure of whether she would be able to upon the theatrical release that was slotted for November 21st. Under the circumstances, November seems so far away, Bird's family shared in an Instagram caption. This dream might be silly to some, but the thought of her not being able to see this movie had me in tears at night. So, 2 months early, folks at Universal Pictures set up an exclusive screening for Bird and her family. In an Instagram post documenting the special event, Bird is seen in a pink Glinda-inspired dress. Walking into a Cinemark theater, she is met with an illuminated Welcome Brielle sign above the theater, and she is seen picking out sweets for her siblings. Bird also got her own goodies, sitting for the show with a big Wicked branded popcorn container and tumbler. The social media post also shared that she was able to invite a handful of cousins, friends, and extended family members. The film's director, John M. Chu, wrote a comment on the post, sharing some more details about the whole project came together. You are loved by so many people around the world, Brielle. I can't tell you how many messages I got telling us all about how amazing you are, and how demanding we get, and how amazing you are, and demanding we get this movie to you, he said. So the team worked all weekend to get a work-in-progress version over to you and your family. He continued, adding that the final movie hasn't even been finished for the public yet. I hope you can feel the love, Chu concluded. You have inspired us all and changed us for good. Sending much more love your way, and hope you enjoyed the film with your cousins. Based on the social media post filled with smiles from Bird and her loved ones, it's clear she did. Thank you, NBC/Universal, for making this an amazing experience, Bird's family shared. Not only did she get to see the movie with a drink and popcorn in hand, but they also provided her with all of the Wicked swag. Although the movie's stars, Grande, and her counterpart, Cynthia Erivo, were not in attendance, they both left heartfelt messages on her Instagram page. We love you so, Grande wrote with her signature heart and bubble emojis. Sweet, amazing girl. Erivo's words of encouragement also echoed the resilience of her on-screen persona, Elphaba. Sweet, sweet girl, thank you for spending your time with us. Your love of this movie and of us means the world, Erivo said, later punctuating her message with 2 green hearts. I hope that we brought you a little joy. I hope that this film has made you believe you can fly, that anything is possible. We love you to the moon and back. To everybody involved with to crossing off a bucket list item for Brielle Bird, and to Brielle Bird on her fight. Cheers. Nate says, I'm going to be honest. And before I read the rest of this, I really echo this. Cancer stories really anger me. I cannot believe we don't actually have workable cures. My jaded mind believes pharmaceutical companies just make too much. Children going through this makes me rage. Love that people are doing these things for our small ones. I echo that statement. It blows my mind at this point that we haven't, with everything that we have at our disposal, that we haven't beaten cancer. But I do love every time we get an article where we get to talk about cancer research and the advances that we are making. But I like more, though it mentions it, that article talks about how good that event was for Brielle Bird. So thank you, Nate, for that statement regarding cancer. Yave Ann says, I'm straight up crying. I am really doing everything in my power right now to hold back tears because I don't have anything to wipe my face with. It's like I am on the edge. I think maybe for Haven LARP, I paint my face. I think maybe there's enough paint shoved into my tear ducts that I'm not crying yet, but I almost broke down during that article. Holy crap. Hanaka says, yes, shirts don't exist. I don't want to be pulling my shirt up and wiping my eyes with it. Producer Donna, we have a lot of cures in research right now. Lots of preventative vaccines in the works, too. We are getting there. Hanaka says it's the weeping tax. All right, we're going to get into our last article for tonight. This one we called a savior. This one is a Saviors of All Ages article. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. A 97-year-old was relaxing when 5 teens suddenly appeared in her home. Then they saved her life. This was published to good.is, which I think is a new one for us, on October 11th of 2025 by Adam Albright Hanna and the Good staff. A group of 5 teenagers on vacation in Hampshire, England are being hailed as heroes after their quick thinking saved a 97-year-old woman from a potentially fatal house fire, as reported by Island Echo. The teens, Sacha Hewson, Mark Meyer, Izzy Mead, Matt Pritchard, and Elliot Brown, were walking back from the beach when they noticed something alarming. We were walking back from the beach and walked past the lady's house, and we noticed there was smoke filtering from the front door, Hewson recalled. Trusting their instincts, they immediately knocked on the door. When no one answered, their concern grew. We went into her house and started calling out for anyone inside to make them aware of what was happening. Hewson said, with still no response, they made the crucial decision to enter the home to investigate. Happy says, unfortunately, it's bedtime for me. Thank you all for the good news tonight, Nick. I hope you and the team keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Happy. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Inside the house, they found the source of the smoke, a package smoldering inside a microwave, and discovered the 97-year-old resident resting in her room, completely unaware of the danger. Being hard of hearing, she hadn't heard the smoke alarms going off. She didn't know what was happening, Hewson remarked. The teens sprang into action. They unplugged the microwave, doused the smoking package, and removed the appliance from the house. They then opened windows and doors to clear the smoke, called for an ambulance as a precaution, and contacted one of the woman's relatives. Their decisive intervention prevented a much more serious incident. Group manager Jeff Walls at the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Service praised their efforts, stating, "The early action taken by members of the public prevented this incident from becoming more serious." Thanks to the 5 vacationing teens who chose not to ignore a dangerous situation, the woman was unharmed and able to return safely to her home. To Sacha Hewson, Mark Meyer, Izzy Mead, Matt Pritchard, and Elliot Brown, you are saviors of all ages. Cheers. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight in our broadcast. That was 9 amazing articles. Really some real great ones. Like, I still haven't gotten over the Wickedly Awesome article. That one is definitely going to be like the title when I put the VOD up. Thank you all again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News YouTube page. Again, we're live every Sunday, and our next episode will be on October 19th of 2025. We encourage participation, so if you feel inclined, you can message or post suggestions for news brews, shoutouts, news quotes, and especially good news articles that we can present on future episodes. If you send us a bunch of articles, try to spread them out across our 4 categories, which again were science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, and plants, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice ones that we like to end on. Nate says, great show, don't forget to like and chat. Well done, my friend. Thank you very much, Nate. I love you, man. You can message us on Facebook or our Instagram, or you can email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. Links are in the description of this video. Feel free to like, subscribe, or comment on our content on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, and especially on our videos so that we can continue to get good news and joy out into the algorithm. Please, no SEO improvement advertisements. We're not interested. Nick's News has seen each week continued growth thanks to you. We do minimal advertising for Nick's News. Producer Donna puts up one ad a week for us to kind of highlight our stuff. Otherwise, Nick's News continues to grow because of all of you. Like, honest to God, y'all have made Nick's News Producer Donna definitely gave us a boost, but y'all make Nick's News possible, and you continue to help us grow, and I can't thank you all enough for that. Like, seeing this program grow is amazing thanks to all of you, so thank you again. I love you all. Have a great night, and I will play us out.